to remove rather than save them. This is because of the assumption that the baby teeth will eventually shed and are therefore not important. However, this is very far from the truth. The primary dentition, the baby teeth, have several vital functions, such as chewing or mastication. It is the child's ability to chew that ultimately determines the type of food that he consumes and therefore impacts the nutrition. The primary dentition is also responsible for well-aligned permanent teeth. The primary tooth holds the space for the permanent tooth in the dental arch. If the primary tooth is lost before time, then the space in the dental arch will be lost, with the permanent tooth erupting out of the arch, resulting in crowding or malalignment. The primary teeth also help in the development of speech. As children learn to speak, they make use of teeth to form words. Healthy primary dentition also means freedom from pain and infection, and this directly affects the quality of life of the child. The primary dentition also significantly impacts the facial aesthetics and therefore the psychological well-being of children. Let us now look at this chart on the eruption of milk teeth. As you can see, the first primary tooth to erupt into the dental arch is the lower central incisor, that is about 6 to 10 months of age. The last primary tooth to erupt into the oral cavity, into the mouth, is the upper second molar, that is by around 25 to 33 months of age. The chronology of eruption and shedding of both the permanent and primary teeth may, however, be impacted and affected in children with growth and developmental delays. Another significant point to be noted here is that many of these primary teeth, especially the molars, shed after 10 years of age, and this underlines the importance of maintaining the primary dentition in a healthy state. Let us now look at the various oral hygiene measures that we can incorporate into our daily home care regime, such as brushing and flossing. But before, we must understand why we need to brush and floss in the first place. As can be seen in this image, the tooth on the right side is covered by a dental biofilm, known commonly as the plaque. The plaque is a thin, tenacious film of bacteria that forms on the teeth. The bacteria in plaque can break down food into acids, and this acid can destroy the protective covering of the tooth, the enamel, and form cavities. The bacteria in plaque can also cause gingival inflammation or gum disease, and in some cases, serious problems like periodontal disease. The best way to remove dental plaque is by brushing twice daily with toothpaste and by flossing once a day. So here are the guidelines for choosing a toothbrush for your child. 1. While selecting a toothbrush, pick one up with soft bristles, because soft bristles clean the teeth better and are gentler on the teeth. Also, choose smaller child-sized toothbrush heads with large handles. These will be easier for your child to grasp. There are certain tips for making brushing easier, such as taking your child to the store and letting him or her pick out a few toothbrushes in his favorite color or the ones that feature his favorite character. Also, allow him to choose the toothbrush he wants to use while brushing, because this will help motivate him or her to brush. Also, create a toothbrushing routine. This can include either playing music, getting things set up, and using a favorite cup for rinsing. If your child is able to brush, allow him to brush first. This is to be followed by brushing for them again. Also, encourage your child to spit out any toothpaste after brushing. Just as it is important to pick up the correct toothbrush, it is also important to replace the toothbrushes every 3 or 4 months. It has to be sooner if you notice fraying of the bristles. This can be because your child chewed down on the toothbrush or because of general wear. Also, replace the toothbrush if your child has been sick. These are the hints for choosing and using toothpaste. Unless recommended by your dentist, toothpaste with fluoride is not suggested for children under 2 years of age and for children who cannot spit. For younger children, if a fluoridated toothpaste is recommended, only a smear amount is recommended, and a pea-size amount is recommended for children aged 2 to 5 years. The toothpaste should be applied by you and spread along the head of the brush. The amount of toothpaste should also be carefully controlled and kept out of reach after brushing. Using too much toothpaste can lead to a condition called fluorosis, that is the staining of the teeth. This image depicts a smear amount of toothpaste and a pea size of paste. In older children, half the bristle head of paste can be used. Many children find it difficult to hold the handle. These are simple suggestions to make the toothbrush handle adjust to the grip of the child, such as using a tennis ball, cutting a hole on both ends of a tennis ball and then pushing the toothbrush through the ball. A bicycle handle can also be used in the same way. You can push the toothbrush into the hole where the bicycle handle would fit. You can also use an elastic band or a piece of Velcro to hold the brush in the child's hand. However, make sure that the Velcro or elastic band is not too tight. There are already some special toothbrushes which are readily available and easier to hold in the market. These are the different positions for brushing. So a number of positions you can use to clean a child's teeth, standing, sitting, or lying. Always remember to support the child's head, and being able to see inside the mouth and moving the brush around easily are very important. Make sure you have good light and can see what you're doing. If standing, make sure the child is standing in front of the bathroom mirror in front of you and resting his head gently against you. You can either then gently guide by putting your hand over the child's hand and teach him to brush. In case of sitting, you can sit on a chair behind the child and the child can rest against your knees. A child lying on the floor you can sit or kneel behind the child lying on the floor. Keep a pillow on your lap and allow the child to rest his head on the pillow. However, these positions have to be used with caution. At all points, see to it that the head is not tilted back so much that it causes gagging or choking. This is especially true for children with cerebral palsy or with other neuromuscular disorders. For him, the sitting position is the best. In case your child uses a wheelchair, these are the basic tips. Stand behind the wheelchair, use your arm to brace the child's head against the wheelchair or against your body. Also, you can use a pillow so that the child is comfortable. You can drape a towel around the chest or lap to collect the dribble. Other options are to sit behind the wheelchair, lock the wheels of the wheelchair for safety, and then to tilt the wheelchair back into your lap. If you are taking care of an infant, these are the instructions for oral hygiene. Before the teeth erupt, a clean wet cloth or gauze can be used to gently wipe the child's gum ridges, inside the cheeks, outside the lips, and along the tongue. After the teeth begin to arrive, you can continue wiping till more teeth have erupted, when you can begin to use a soft bristle baby toothbrush and water. As in the picture, a finger brush can also be used. These are certain tips that you can use for engaging in infant oral hygiene. Choose a time after feeding when your infant is not fuzzy or overtired. Cradle and support your infant's head with one arm and wipe or brush with the opposite hand. You can place your infant on a changing table, bed, floor, or lap while cleaning his or her teeth. Singing, talking, and smiling with their infant while cleaning their teeth can help engage them. Clean or brush your baby's teeth twice a day. And set an example. Children learn by observation. They model their behavior after yours. So allow your infant to watch you brush your teeth. This will help teach them the importance of good oral hygiene. As can be seen in this picture, for younger children and older children, you can use your non-dominant hand to retract the lips and cheek and brush for them. You can either use horizontal strokes or circular strokes, taking care to brush all the teeth, both the outside as well as the inside, starting from the back, the corners of the mouth, and the front. Also do remember to brush the grinding surfaces of the teeth. At all times, encourage your child to spit out any remaining toothpaste. If you're using an electronic toothbrush, these are the directions. First, place a smear of toothpaste on the brush, then place the brush in the mouth. Turn on the brush, start in the back corner, and gently hold the brush against the tooth surface for 4 to 6 seconds. Then move to the next tooth and repeat. Let the brush do its job. Brush the tongue sides of the teeth as well as the cheek sides, and make sure you reach the gum line with the brush. It is important for you to be careful to not use too much hand motion when using a powered or electronic toothbrush. Many children can initially be anxious or apprehensive while using the electric toothbrush because of the sound or vibration. You can introduce the toothbrush gently to them, allowing them to hold the toothbrush in their hand, then extending it to their arm, then making them feel the vibrations against the cheek, the lip, and the front teeth to make it more acceptable to them. Next, coming to flossing. Children with all their teeth erupted with contacts between the teeth will require flossing. As the toothbrush cannot reach all the places between the teeth, the dental floss does a good job of removing food and cavity germs between the teeth. If food and germs are not removed, this can cause gum disease and cavities. You can take about 12 to 18-inch length of a floss and wrap it around the middle fingers of both the hands. Use your thumb and index finger to grasp the floss and then pass it gently between the teeth. Make sure you do not snap it, but rather gently using sawing motion or up and down motion, pass it between the teeth. You have to clean each side from the gum upwards and do this for all the teeth. In the market, various floss holders are available, which will make it easier for your child or you to floss. It is important to remember that you should floss for children below 10 years of age or for children if they are not able to floss for themselves because of poor manual dexterity. Next, let us look at nutrition and oral health. Those of you who are breastfeeding should protect your infant's teeth. After the teeth come in, you have to not allow your infant to sleep with the breast in his or her mouth. It is recommended to not use breastfeeding as a pacifier. Always remember to wipe your infant's gums and teeth with a clean cloth or gauze in the morning and night. And as more teeth come in, begin a brushing routine with water. Always look for white or brown spots on both the sides of the teeth. These are signs of cavities. Contact a dentist if needed. Also, schedule the first dental visit by the time your child turns 1 year of age, if not by the first eruption, the eruption of the first tooth. In case you are using the bottle, remember that using it incorrectly can cause tooth decay. A few things to remember while using the bottle is never to put your baby to bed with a bottle filled with milk. If your baby needs to suck on something to go to sleep, try a pacifier or a bottle filled with water. But a point to remember here is to not dip your pacifier in anything sweet like sugar syrup or honey, because this can also cause decay. Also, avoid using the bottle as a pacifier. Hold your baby while feeding and do not add cereal to your bottle unless your doctor recommends it, because this can also lead to tooth decay. If possible, wean your baby from the bottle by about 1 year of age. These are the healthy eating habits that are recommended for good dental health. Other than the meals that you give your child, encourage healthy snacking by providing fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. If your child is thirsty, have your child sit on a chair and finish a drink instead of walking around with a sippy cup or bottle. Do not let your child constantly sip milk or other sweet liquids throughout the day. Limit the amount of juice you give your child and try diluting it with water. This is because though natural fruit juices are good for your child, they also contain intrinsic sugars which can cause decay. So encourage your child to have full fruits or whole fruits rather than fruit juices. Do not give your toddler sodas and candies. They have no nutritive value and can lead to tooth decay and make your child overweight. Also, try not to use food as a reward. There are various other ways in which you can reinforce behavior, such as activity reinforcers, engaging your child in a favorite play, or social reinforcers like praising the child, smiling at him, or giving him gifts like a book or a favorite sticker. Also, when you are selecting the snack for your child, remember this list. Raw vegetables, fresh fruits, and dairy products are healthy, whereas the snacks to stay away from when possible are sticky, chewy, gooey foods like caramel, honey, molasses, syrup, hard candy, etc. Make sure that you are not giving your child anything sweet to snack in between meals. Many children with special care needs require medication. Many of these medications can cause dry mouth, and some of these medications may be required at night when the mouth has very little saliva. The saliva has a protective function. It protects the teeth because it rinses the mouth. So it is important for you to keep these suggestions in mind while you're giving your child his or her medicine. Give the child medicine when the child is awake and have the child brush or rinse thoroughly after every dose. If your child is unable to rinse, follow with a squirt bottle or a syringe of water to rinse the mouth. Also, children with asthma should rinse after using the inhaler. Be sure to inform your dentist of the medications your child is taking and the frequency and time of the dosages prescribed. Request sugar-free medications from your doctor or pharmacist because the sugar content of these medicines, when taken over a long period of time, can cause decay. Now, coming to the importance of regular dental health checkup. It is important for you to make the dentist a part of your health team. This is basically important, therefore, to take your child to the dentist by the first birthday of the child or by the time the first tooth erupts. This is because the dentist can monitor your child's teeth to make sure the teeth are developing properly, can initiate preventive care. It is also important that you contact your dentist in case of injury, pain, signs of decay, or any deleterious oral habits, like the persistence of thumb sucking after the age of 4. These are the things that you need to keep in mind when your child is expecting the first dental visit. 1, talk to the dentist ahead of time about what to expect at the first appointment. When taking your child, say positive things about going to the dentist. It is important that you not use words like syringe, injection, fear, pain, hurt, because this can create anxiety in your child. Talk to your child about what to expect and build excitement as well as understanding about the upcoming visit. Also understand that very young children may be fuzzy, frightened, and may not sit still. This is normal. You need to be patient. For older children, it may be helpful to take your child to the dental office before the appointment to familiarize them with the setting. Your dentist will formulate a behavior guidance plan to suit the very specific needs of your child to manage the behavior in the dental clinic. These are the key things to share with your dentist on your visit. 1, information regarding the special conditions, such as physical or behavioral problems, or medications or special therapy that the child might be receiving. Also, information regarding the eating habits, such as frequent consumption of starches or nutritional supplements, or a diet which is limited to soft or pureed food. Also, dependence on nursing bottles or milk formula instead of age-appropriate food. Any condition affecting the mouth and the teeth, such as sensitivity or crowding, drooling, decay, and periodontal disease. General care information if your child is being cared for by anyone other than yourself. This is the preventive care that you can expect your child to receive at the dentist. 1, dental sealants. 2, application of topical fluorides, sometimes interceptive orthodontic procedures. You will receive anticipatory guidance on how to manage the child's dental needs. Coming to what are dental sealants. The first permanent molar, also known as the 6th-year molar, and the other molars are prone to dental decay. This is because their grinding surfaces or occlusal surfaces are not smooth but have pits and fissures. These pits and fissures trap food particle and bacteria, and that is why these are prone for decay. Dental sealants are protective coatings which are applied on these pits and fissures, occluding them, preventing them from accumulating food and bacteria, and thus protecting them from decay. Dental sealants are recommended for the first permanent molar and even prime molars in children with special healthcare needs. Topical fluoride is another preventive therapy. This protects the teeth from dental caries because it makes the surface of the tooth more resistant to acid. Sometimes your child may need interceptive procedures, like the placement of a space maintainer. As discussed, this could be because the child's primary tooth has fallen before time. So in order to maintain the place in the arch for the permanent tooth, a space maintainer like this one could be placed. Coming now to special conditions and the special challenges faced during their care. In a child with autism and a parent, these are the things that you need to keep in mind. Share with your dentist your child's intellectual and functional abilities, including information on the best way to communicate with your child. Also, be aware that oral care may trigger violent and self-injurious behavior such as temper tantrums or head banging. Children with autism function best with routine. It may be helpful for you to allow your child to visit the office before the appointment so that they can become familiar with the setting. Help your child to visualize what the visit to the dentist will be like by providing them a picture of the office, the chair, and the dentist. Praise and reinforce good behavior. After each step or procedure, ignore inappropriate behavior as much as possible. Set up appointments when the office is not busy because you need to minimize the number of distractions. Discuss with your dental provider any concerns that you may have regarding your child's oral health. Many young children with autism might not like brushing. So special toothpaste which do not have a flavoring agent, because some of them may not like the mint flavor or the heavy flavoring of toothpaste, are available. Also, three-sided toothbrushes are available which can be used, which are more sensitive for their particular oral health needs. In children with cerebral palsy, one of the major challenges is gagging, swallowing, and breathing. So a sitting position is recommended while brushing. Also, if your child has trouble spitting, a smear of toothpaste on the brush is all that is required. Finally, use a clean wet washcloth to remove the toothpaste after brushing. Also, use a soft bristled toothbrush and adapt it as needed. For a child with asthma, the mouth should be rinsed with water after using an inhaler and after taking medicines such as cough syrup. At the dentist's office, make sure to bring your child's inhaler for the appointments. Give your dentist information about your child's latest attack and the factors that trigger the attacks and the severity of their condition. Let your dentist know if your child is on long-term steroids. Also, be sure to tell your dentist which medicines your child is taking and in what doses. Finally, it is important for you to establish a monthly routine of checking your child's mouth, the teeth, and the gums. This can be done by first washing your hands with soap and water, lifting the upper lip and pulling down the lower lip, and then examining both the outer and the inner surfaces of the teeth and the gums. What you need to observe for are signs of decay, which are the most common, which is one of the most common problems in children. Early childhood caries. This might present as white or brown spots on the child's tooth. It is important to prevent or intervene at the earliest, because if not, then this can result in severe mutilation and infection. So finally, I would like to end by or conclude by saying that we, parents and caregivers and pediatric dentists, need to establish a mutual partnership to provide the best possible care for our children, because they deserve nothing but the best. Thank you, and I hope the very best for you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jaya, for addressing such an informative session for everyone. I hope all the parents' queries have been, much cleared now. So I have received few questions from parents.